Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Between Us Numbers podcast. Season two's over. A lot of upsets, a lot of injuries come through, and a lot of backups are going to be start playing. Actually, Will, I just say this. I saw a meme like today, which was like with Tony Romo out, Jay Cutler out, and a bunch of other like injuries. It was like this is the worst time for Johnny Manziel to be to not get picked up, and for Tim Tebow to play another sport, because he could have been picked up by someone.
Yeah, that's true,
Like
man.
think about think Tebow back at the Pats. That'd be an emotional time.
That could be pretty emotional. That could be pretty. And considering that most of the guys who are being plugged in as backups now, or loads of them are rookies,
Yeah,
so
yeah. I'd rather have Tebow than like a bunch of them, to be honest.
I'd rather
Like,
have Tebow than most quarterbacks. To be fair.
yeah, to be honest, there's only like one quarterback I'd take ahead of Tebow, and that he's injured. So like, I mean, there's Jay Cutler, and that's it. So, I mean, like he should be starting for every single
He's
franchise.
doing pretty. But yeah,
Anyway, sorry about that slight tangent. Fair few games on this week. Some upsets, some people would say. Sam Bradford started for the Vikings in a game that I'm going to take a look into a bit later. Jay Cutler is injured, and you know how much of a fan we are of him right now. We love Jay Cutler. He was our pick for MVP, so I think we might have to redo that one. Also, Adrian Peterson is out for the Vikings, so interesting to see how that affects the roster. The Chargers had a blowout win, which a game I'm going to talk about as well. But they also had their running back Danny Woodhead's out for I think a fair few games this season. Seeing the Cardinals absolutely wrecked the Buccaneers, and then the Rams did what we thought. Well, we said this is the most Rams thing ever to do, and go from being shot out 1 week against the 49ers to playing against Seahawks, supposedly one of the best defenses, and then just go ahead and get the victory. It's a weird week, man. What do you think of it?
yeah, it was definitely a weird week. A lot of results that after kind of that high of the first week, and then loads and loads of tight games. It was kind of like falling back to reality in this week. There are a couple like dud games, and a few also like weird results, and a lot of like ground out victories, like the Bengals Steelers game. That was fun game to watch, but that was like a proper AFC North matchup. And the
Yeah.
Chiefs Texans game. That was another game that was just kind of full of like field goals left, right, and centre. And Saints Giants, everyone thought that was going to be a high scoring game, ended up
Yeah,
being a
yeah.
low scoring one. A lot of blowout victories as well. So not the best of weeks, but good enough so we have something to talk about.
We have a fair few stuff to talk about, and should we go into like our highlights for the game? We realized last week that we went a little bit over how long we were trying to aim for the podcast to be. So instead of talking about 5 games this week, guys, we're going to pick each our own 3. And Will, do you want to start off and tell us who you got first up?
Yeah, also just that how we're talking about less games as well. Maybe this will make teams play with more effort, that they know that only the top 6 games get into the podcast. So
Yeah, it's true.
really try harder. All right, I'm going to start off with the Bengals at the Steelers, the AFC North matchup, which has kind of become one of the like signature divisional matchups. Definitely one of the best ones. I think it's kind of going to replace the Steelers-Ravens one that used to be the top one. But this was such a typical AFC North matchup. It was raining, everyone looked muddy, everyone was hitting each other really, really hard. And somehow the Steelers found a way to win. They pretty much did most of it on defense. They shut the Bengals down pretty well. I thought most impressively that they kept Jeremy Hill to pretty much almost no rushing yards. They stacked the box up really well. A guy who came out of this game really well was Ryan Shazier, the linebacker, who had a really good game in terms of the tackling front. And then for the Steelers, D'Angelo Williams continues to impress me. Like, I genuinely thought he was going to be an absolute flop this season because he was too old, but he keeps going from strength to strength. He had 94 rushing yards. Another guy who came out was Sammy Coates, the wide receiver, who maybe has the potential to be kind of like a replacement for Martavis Bryant this season. Antonio Brown didn't have like a huge 150-yard game, but he still picked up a few yards. And Ben Roethlisberger had 259 passing yards, and he also had a rushing attempt of like 14 yards where he ran through, hit like a couple players, didn't slide, just went in to like hit another guy. And because he's so big, a few people bounced off him. That was quite fun to watch.
Did you see when like the open pass to Antonio Brown and like Antonio Brown's coming back? It's like a dig route. He comes back to pick it up, and it just bounces off his chest. He's like wide open. There's no one there, and it was just like, this is Antonio Brown. Like, what just happened? I'm pretty sure it was for a first down as well.
Yeah, but
it was just like the weirdest thing to see.
There were so many drops in this game. So it was raining so hard, and like literally they couldn't get anything moving. But it was I think it was a game that in the end it literally could have gone either way. The Bengals they had a comeback at the end, but I think they kind of lost the game within the first half. That the Steelers I don't think they were expecting that defense to be so good, which has been quite a surprise that a lot of people thought that the Steelers would just be kind of like a stacked offense team that would just throw the ball and run it like crazy and score loads of points, but they seems to be more of a mature team now, kind of like the Steelers of old, playing like with a more balanced roster.
It seems like that, and like I it was one of those games you expect it to be kind of like, especially with the Steelers' offensive threat, like what they have in the passing game and in the running game as well, but yeah, like, there wasn't as many penalties as I was expecting. I was expecting some really big, dirty hits in this game, but it seemed like they both like wheeled it in, and like Mike Tomlinson stayed on the side anyway, so that's good. Even though that was against the Ravens.
There was no hair pulling of players as well.
I mean, like, it's good. They're going up in the world, the AFC North. It's good. Like, it's a very interesting game though. It's definitely one that was going to decide the divisional title at the end of the season, I reckon. And with like with that being like the first loss the Bengals have, and the Steelers moving to 2-0. Definitely put some pressure on the Bengals, because another team in their division also moved to 2-0.
Against the other team in the division that will probably pick first in the draft.
So this is one of the games I'm picking up this week, guys. It was the Ravens at the Dog Pound in Cleveland, and it was, well, let's put it this way. So the Cleveland Browns scored 20 points in the first quarter. That's the highest number of points they've scored in a quarter for like it was since like 1997 or something stupid, and they screwed it up. They had so basically the Cleveland Browns went up 20-0, and then the Ravens kept chipping away. Each quarter they scored some points, got a safety in the first one, just ended off to like, but yeah, they came back and at halftime it was 12-20, and you know, like anything like that's only that's just over 2-point conversion away from tying the game, and the Ravens obviously come back to do it. I mean, like there was Josh McCown was starting in for this game as RG3 is injured, but I mean he played all right until he got injured, and he threw 2 touchdowns, but also got 2 interceptions. One was on the goal line, picked off by CJ Mosley to end the game. Pretty costly, that one. But Joe Flacco doing the same, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Throwing for 300 yards, and Mike Wallace picking up both the touchdowns in the air for the Baltimore Ravens. What a name that is! Like throwback to have from it's like the Steelers, and then down to the Miami Dolphins, and now back up to the Baltimore Ravens, and it seems to be working out quite well for them. So obviously one of the most exciting things I want to talk about is my main man Eric Weddle got himself an interception. Just put that in there. I was very surprised at watching the game in red zone. It was just like keep going back to the Dog Pound. It was just like Browns touchdown, Brown. I was just like, how's this happening?
Can I butt in quickly? If we're going to be using stadium names, can we please use the official sponsorship name? It's actually the First Energy Stadium.
Sorry, great. Well, I'm going to use the Dog Pound. Was the First Energy
Stadium.
Right. So basically, at the first in Cleveland, the Raven. Well, I mean, like this wasn't upset for the first quarter, but then the Browns did the Browns, and could be gunning for that first overall pick, really. But like they've played well in their games so far, like, this week against the Ravens especially. But I mean, putting up 20 points against that defense is not something which is like in the first quarter. It's not something which is easily done. But it just seems the Browns are just not being able to like closeout weeks really. Sorry, closeout games. I think that's all they really need to do because they're getting the points. This is with their backup quarterback as well. But yeah, and they're getting their way through it. But it just seems to be like the same whole thing with Cleveland, with just like so far ahead, and then the quarterback who just mucks it up in the last minute. But
I think it's
yeah,
definitely a case that Hugh Jackson does have some of the pieces where he can implement his offense. But the problem is there's so many pieces missing in that team is that it can click for like half a quarter, but then it can very easily unclick for the rest of the game, and then you blow a 20-point lead. But I mean, again, this was typical Cleveland
mm,
to throw away this lead, but it was also untypical Cleveland to be in a situation where they could um, blow a 20-point lead. Like, I mean, like, if you're a Browns fan, you're looking for positives out of this. I'd take this. Like, not many teams can say that they blew a 20-point lead because not many teams get to that scenario. So
well, yeah,
at least you got to a situation where you could have 20, you'd be 20 points ahead.
yeah, and
Yes, you blew it.
yeah, to be fair, like standout player for the Browns was definitely their rookie wide receiver Corey Coleman. 5 receptions, 104 yards, and both touchdowns for the Browns. So definitely a bright spark there, and he seemed to be their go-to guy. Been used like the last drive and everything. And obviously him, like he's working well outside on one side, and then well, Terrell Pryor just, like doing his work on the other. He wasn't that great though. He got called for a couple penalties. Watching, but it seems like the Browns are almost there. They're just lacking that final thing.
Yeah, and also that they're going to have another setback that Josh McCown probably won't be fit for the next game, and they're going to have to stick in a rookie quarterback in Cody Kessler.
Tebow, come back, bro. You know you want to. Nah, it's the perfect time.
Uh,
Yeah,
should we move on to another divisional matchup?
go for it.
So after quite a long time, football turned to Los Angeles in the regular season. The LA Rams took on the Seattle Seahawks, and Jeff Fisher got the first of his 7 wins of the season. And it would be a Jeff Fisher 7-win season without a win over the Seattle Seahawks. 4 out of the last 5 times that the Seahawks have played the Rams in the Russell Wilson era, they have lost to the Rams. So I don't understand why people just look at the Rams and see what they do against the Seahawks to beat them, or whether it's just a entire
It's just the
mental thing.
Rams. It's just the Rams, man.
Maybe, maybe, maybe they all get. Maybe there's like a clause in all their contracts that none of us know about that they get a huge bonus if they beat the Seahawks.
If they beat the Seahawks.
But it doesn't matter if they beat anyone else. It just has to be the Seahawks. But in terms of the game, this is a pretty terrible game to watch. Mostly just like defense, hard hits, offensive drives stalling. That Seahawks offense looks all over the place. Their offensive line can't get any protection on Russell Wilson. And it did look like that the ankle injury that Russell Wilson picked up last week against the Dolphins seemed to be affecting him quite severely.
Mm.
And also, I thought it felt like quite considering this is the first game in quite a long time in Los Angeles, it felt like a proper like Los Angeles football game because the LA Raiders weren't known as being like this really like flashy team that had like high powered offense. They were known as being like a strong defensive team. And this Seahawks Rams game kind of felt like it was a throwback to the old LA teams. But in terms of the Rams moving forward from this game, I don't see them moving forward from this game because yes, they beat the Seahawks, but they do that a lot of the time. But they haven't got a sustainable way of playing. And 2 worries for me are not the defense because I think that'll work out fine because they can win games on defense, but they can't win all their games on defense. Their defense isn't that good. And the problem is their offense because Case Keenum doesn't look like a franchise quarterback. He makes all the run throws. He stalls drives really easily because he can't make accurate throws. Another problem, which is a problem that we weren't expecting, is Todd Gurley, is he's struggling because so many teams when they're defending us Rams now, they know that they can't. If they put the ball in Case Keenum's hands, they're going to stall drives because Case Keenum can't complete throws. So they're just stacking the box up, and Todd Gurley has no way of getting through and finding lanes to run. And he doesn't look like the same player that he was in his rookie season. But what did you think?
Yeah, I mean, like obviously the when I was watching it was kind of with the red zone channel, and obviously there's not many. Well, there was plenty of red zone opportunities, but just everything came off in a field goal. But I thought, yeah, like it was just if it's the way to beat the Seahawks, it's probably the way the Rams did it. It's just like I think this is just like if you stall their passing attack, and like the Rams' run defense obviously really, really like highly touted as well. I mean, it's one of the better run defenses in the league with that defensive line they have. Obviously, we saw that in like Hard Knocks this season, but I thought this game was just, I don't know, it was just missing something, and that one thing was like actual touchdowns, and it was just, yeah, it was definitely not one for the highlight reel. I doubt I would. I doubt like I wouldn't. If you're trying to get someone to watch football, and you take them to that game, that's possibly the worst idea you've ever had.
Yeah.
But I don't. Yeah, it just seemed a bit of a. I mean, like Jimmy Graham was back in the game, so I think that was one thing I was excited for. I was like, I haven't seen him in a while. He's making plays, but yeah, it just didn't seem like Doug Baldwin wasn't the same player. Like, it wasn't the same when he got it. Only like keep getting stalled. Like it was just both pretty good defenses going up against like mediocre offenses right now. And like,
right then. So if the Seahawks are playing the 49ers next week, and then after that they are playing the Jets. At what point should we be worried that this isn't just a slow Seahawks start anymore? They're actually playing badly.
I mean, okay, if they kind of lose, if they lose to the 49ers, that's already 2 divisional games they've lost. They're going to need to come up quite bad. But then, like, you know how the Seahawks are? They always start off really slowly, and then they'll just boss it for, like, a good, like, they'll get hot during mid-season and, like, towards the end, and they'll be on, like, an 8-game win streak, and it'll just be, everyone be like, oh, it's the same Seahawks we knew beforehand. Like, I don't think it's that much of an issue right now. They always start off like this.
Should we reconvene this conversation in 5 weeks?
All right, we'll see. I'll see, and I'll be like, now Seahawks, you can start getting hot and start doing stuff. Right. Moving on to divisional. Actually, not even a divisional match, a conference matchup. I have one of my games. I want to talk about this quite a lot. It's the when the Jacksonville Jaguars went to San Diego and got their ass handed to them, and then got sent back by Philly Riv. He had he had a crazy day. So he had 220 yards passing, with 4 touchdowns in the air. 4 touchdowns in the air. Travis Benjamin picking up 2 of those touchdowns. He had 6 receptions for 115 yards, and that was just like, damn, like they were doing well. So like it just started, the start of the game, it just happened with so San Diego put up they go up 35 nothing without any points being without any points from the Jags. And the reason why I took this game, I know the Chargers are 2-0, but I still think that the reason for this game is because everyone was so hyped on the Jaguars the start of the season. And fair enough, they were playing the Packers last week. Not expecting them to be the Packers, but the Chargers are one of the teams that people had down for going, like, they might be in the top 5 picks next season. They're not that great. Their franchise isn't that good. And they got an injury, Danny Woodhead. It's quite bad for them. But Melvin Gordon seems to be coming through and playing well for them. He got himself another rushing touchdown today. But I just want to put a pin in this whole, like, Jacksonville Jags, like, doing well, maybe winning the division. I know we're only 2 games in right now, but if they continue to carry on as what they've done right now, their defense has just been shredded. And it's like, I know the San Diego Chargers offense is, when Philly Rev gets going, he gets going, he does the business. But it just seemed like Blake Bortles has all these passing yards. He had 329 passing yards, which is 109 yards more than Philip Rivers, but comes away with 2 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. I mean, it just seems to be that they're fine getting the ball, but when they're on it, they just don't. They're so bad at progressing down the field. The Jags, and like one of their touchdowns was scored in garbage time, where I can't remember. It was one of the someone just like literally just like waltzed in, and it was just like the only catch like I had on the day, and the Chargers like we've already won the game. There's no real point. Like just garbage time for them. But yeah, I just like maybe the San Diego Chargers or something. In the 2 games they played, they put up monster numbers. Excited to see how they carry on. But yeah, the Jacksonville Jaguars just seem to be overhyped for me a little bit this season. Right now, they are at least. And well, they're two wins down, and the Texans are already 2-0 up. So like, if the Jacksonville Jaguars are gonna have to make some plays, getting back into the playoff push, which is what they're really expecting this season.
They're expected. They're expected to. I mean, I always thought playoff push was completely out of the question. But
Yeah.
just to do something different, go like 7-9 or something, or like win a few more games and always just winning 5 games. But the Jags, this game just felt like all of like last season, where they go behind and then they get loads and loads of numbers in garbage time, which Blake Bortles does. So it cleans his numbers up, but it's just taking up practice. There's so all of the issues of last season were still there. And I mean, if they want to be going up, I mean, this Jaguars roster isn't that good. I mean, they have a quality quarterback. They have more pieces missing than the Jags do, and they should have gone out here and won this game and won it with ease. I'm not angry. I'm just really disappointed.
In the Jags, yeah, I know, because everyone, you kind of expect to see like these explosive plays from the Jags. I mean, those wide receiver combos of Allen Hurns and Allen Robinson. I mean, you expect to see that as like a big plays from every week, and fair enough, they do make big plays, but it just doesn't come off. It doesn't really come off for them, I don't think. And it just, like Blake Bortles makes all these touchdowns and gets all these yards numbers up, but they're not in the part of the game which matters. Like, it wasn't like he threw a game-losing interception, but just seems to be that. And just a quick update on Danny Woodhead. It seems to be out for a fair few games this season. Big loss to the Chargers there. I mean, they're going to have to turn to Melvin Gordon, who's doing well, but I mean, Danny Woodhead is pretty. He's great out of the backfield as well, catching, which is obviously what loves to do. But I think hopefully there's time for Melvin Gordon to step into the limelight and probably nail down that like first role, the starter job really. And he's got that chance to do it, and he's hit 3 touchdowns in his past 2 games, so he's doing well. Good start off to the season.
All right.
But yeah, that's a huge knee injury for Danny Woodhead. All right, moving on to who's your next game against? I can't even remember.
I got my final game, and it is the Kansas City Chiefs at the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans won. It wasn't like most of the game. It was quite a dull game, but there was a lot of like intrigue in it. The only touchdown came in the first quarter. It was a 27-yard pass from Brock Osweiler to DeAndre Hopkins. 2 of the really big things for me were Brock Osweiler, who he had 268 yards passing. He did throw 2 interceptions, but he looks a lot more mature and a lot more content in the pocket than I ever thought he would. I thought he would completely go down in flames. He got paid way too much money, but it looks so complete, this Texans offense. And another really good addition, I think, has been Will Fuller, who got 104 yards, another 100-yard games. DeAndre Hopkins got 113 yards. Add all that together, they also get Lamar Miller, who gets 83 rushing yards. So they've got so many good pieces on offense now, and they look a lot more complete than I thought they would be. Meanwhile, the Chiefs, they looked kind of lackluster, slow, and kind of like a bit off the pace after they had that really, really good comeback victory last week. But it's early in the season, and I think there's still a lot of football to be played, but I don't think this is going to start a kind of a spiral where the Chiefs go out of control. I still think the Chiefs are the best team one of the best teams in their division. We'll see how the Broncos do against the Bengals next week.
Fun.
Yeah, but apart from that, lot of interesting things that happened in the game. Should we move on to your final game of the week?
So my final game this week was the AFC North matchup between the Green Bay Packers going to visit Minnesota. This is the first game in Minnesota's brand new stadium. It does look pretty cool, have to admit, but it's just like, for me, I think just the Minnesota, it was like they were outside. That was one of their things. If they got in playoffs, people come in, play in the snow, but obviously it's not happening this time. I mean, they can like control the temperature or whatnot, but then like, who wants to go to a stadium, sit inside, and be really cold?
Corporate people who want to pay money.
maybe.
It's
But okay,
all it's
so
all money.
it's it's all money. And then so in this game, Sam Bradford started for the Vikings at quarterback, and it seemed that he was pretty comfortable on the ball, throwing for two touchdowns, 286 yards, and no interceptions. So those touchdowns were to Carl Rudolph and Stephon Diggs. Stephon Diggs having a monster day of 9 receptions, 182 yards, and that one touchdown. Um, Burning up that Packers secondary as he does with that pace. It was a very interesting game. Adrian Peterson injured though in this game. This could be changing for the Vikings seasons, who do move on to 2-0 after this win, which is, you think, like, if you lose Teddy Bridgewater, you're like, okay, fine, we're a run first team. You brought in Sam Bradford, you're like, okay, this is a good replacement. He played well, but then your star running back and your stud on offense goes down and gets injured. It's not what the Vikings fans wanted to get, and well, I mean, like, their defense played really well, holding Aaron Rodgers to only one touchdown and got an interception. And it was just one of those games where you see the talent that the Vikings have with Trey Waynes getting that reception. I think it was first round pick a couple years ago. But see the talent they have stopping the run for the Packers, forcing them into pass mode, and well, the Vikings definitely pushed on, but this is gonna be a big issue for them. With Adrian Peterson going off in the third quarter, so it's a torn meniscus, and it is going to be putting him out for a while. Sorry, let me out, and then just it doesn't seem like, it just seems that however many injuries Adrian Peterson has, he comes back with another one, and he always comes back, and he comes back better. But yeah, they're not confident on when they'll be back. There's no time. There's no time placed on when he'll come back. But when he was like waking off, when he was like, sorry, walking off. He couldn't even put any weight on that on his knee, which was it was his left knee. So it could be tough for the Vikings. That it could have huge ramifications the rest of the season as well. But I mean, at least they got a big game against the Packers, and they beat them in when they had him fully fit. But I think for this one, the Vikings, props to you guys, well done for doing it. But like the Packers, what was going on there? Seemed
They
a
look
lot of
pretty.
it seemed a bit like they kind of expected everything to be okay, especially if they even had like a new quarterback. They were like, "Oh, it's fine. We'll stop Adrian Peterson," which they did. To be fair, I mean, he had 12 attempts, only 19 yards, but he got injured. But like the Vikings, yeah, run game didn't really pick up at all. It was just like, let's just throw it. And to be fair, when Stephon Diggs having that good a day, the Green Bay secondary, which isn't one which everyone says is that great, definitely was shown like that it wasn't a top notch secondary. Sort of burn a fair bit, but yeah, Rodgers not be able to bring his team to the divisional victory, which I think most people had him predicted to do, but um,
Yeah,
props to Mike Zimmer, did well.
I was part of that group of people who thought that Aaron Rodgers would win and ruin the Vikings' big opening night, but no
Mm.
one expected that Sam Bradford suddenly became the greatest ever living quarterback. Uh, but also, a lot of the problems that the Packers have was repeated problems they had last year. The offensive line can't protect Aaron Rodgers. Their receivers can't get open, and I think the Packers have got some serious issues. We kind of put it past the Jaguars saying, "Oh, the Jaguars are a good team," and at their start of the season, but this was a big game that they should have won, and they got outclassed by a quarterback who's been pretty lackluster for a few years. So I'd be worried if I was a Packers fan.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just saying props to the Vikings, but it could have, it could have ramifications further down the season, and the Packers are the ones who we know will probably pounce on them, and then I mean they're the biggest rivals in the NFC North, and plus with Jay Cutler being down injured now, well, I think the Vikings moved to 2-0, and the Packers on 1-1 and getting the first loss of the season. Right, that's what I want to talk about. Do you want to get into our predictions for this week?
Oh yes.
Oh, yeah, so is it a big Thursday night game? Texans at Patriots. What would you think
This
in that? I mean, this
this
does
is
mean. Well, yeah. You can talk about the Pats. Like, what's your situation right now?
this is huge. Well, actually, wait. Jimmy Garoppolo goes down. We're 2-0. I kind of feel like we're playing on house money now. That I would be very happy if we finish 2-2 when Brady comes back. So we get the best quarterback ever back, and we go 2-2 and beat two. Well, we beat one really good team. If we beat the Texans tomorrow, I mean on Thursday, we're gonna win the Super Bowl. Um, like if Bill Belichick finds a way to beat this good Texans defense and an offense that looks really good, with Jacoby Brissett, I don't know I don't know what he can't do. Then we could
Who
probably
is
win.
he? Did you draft
He's
him
a
this year?
we drafted him this year in the third round. I don't know much about him. He came on after Garoppolo went off in
Yeah.
the Dolphins game. They didn't really do much with him, but he basically has like 3 or 4 days to learn the entire offense or some
Yeah.
form of offense. And he hasn't. He's barely taken any reps in the off season
Yeah, because
of
they want to
recent.
get Jimmy Garoppolo up to speed, wouldn't they? And then now he's
Uh,
injured.
but I'm gonna go for the Texans.
The Texans. I'm gonna agree with you there, even though it is at the Patriots in Foxborough. But I'm gonna take the Texans as well in this pickup. Yeah, it should be their defense should be one who beats out the Patriots here.
Definitely. All
Right.
right.
Okay. Well, we're moving on to the Sunday games. The Sunday 1 o'clock games go 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8 games. Including some some absolute belters in this game. Do you want to start with the Cardinals at Bills? Your AFC East rivals. The Cardinals did put up 40 points last week. Are you expecting them to carry on with
I'm
that?
expecting them to put up 100 points on the Bills. The Bills are terrible.
Yeah, I mean, I got the Cardinals here. There's not really much else to say apart from we can move on to the next game. So Raiders at Titans. Now the Raiders have been scoring a lot of points, but it just seems that if they come up against a team who can also put up points as well, they're in quite an issue. They're quite worried. I mean, I'd be like at the start of the season, I'd be more. I kind of expected them to lose to the Saints more than the Falcons, but I guess you get Julio Jones. Who have you got on this matchup?
I'm gonna stick with the Raiders. I think I picked the Raiders in almost every game this season, and they've won 1 out of 2. But I have a lot of faith in this Raiders team. I think that they'll grow into the season, and become a good team.
Yeah, well, I picked against the Raiders in week 1. The Raiders get their win, and then I picked the Raiders last week and they lost. So I'm not really sure what to do right now. I don't feel as if how the Titans can put up that many points though, so I'm gonna have to go for the Raiders as well, and move them to 2-1. Right, another AFC matchup involving I'm sorry, NFC East matchup. It's the Redskins at the New York Giants. That's a pretty crunch game. I would have to go Giants simply as their home, and they're 2-0 right now. And the Redskins just haven't been playing their best football. But I've got Eli and the Giants here.
I would have to be inclined to agree with you. I thought Kirk Cousins against the Cowboys is the worst he's ever looked. He had no idea where to put the ball. He was seeing ghosts all the time, and I think that the Giants have looked the strongest team in the NFC East or the NFC least, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, I think the Redskins haven't shown me anything yet this season, which I'm quite disappointed in because I thought I had high hopes for the Redskins.
Yeah, I had them
But
last week, but nothing.
yeah, that's what the
Disappointing.
Redskins do to me.
Um, yeah, and then maybe they'll probably come back and win this division like 8-7, 8-8. Anyway, moving on. We picked the exact same teams here, and I think we're gonna have to carry on picking the exact same teams, even though it is your AFC East rival. I think the Browns traveling to Miami. I'm pretty sure with no RG3 and no Josh McCown that the Dolphins are gonna come up with the win here.
Yeah, I yeah, I don't really know
Yeah.
what to say. I don't think the Browns are going
Yeah.
to win this game.
So you're picking the Dolphins?
I'm picking the Dolphins.
All right, okay. Moving on to a game. Next, another one, an AFC conference matchup. Got the Baltimore Ravens traveling to Jacksonville, and I don't know what to think here because I've been disappointed by the Jags so far, and the Ravens are 2-0. I have picked them to do well this season. I
Is that
don't know. I might have to. I think I'll pick, but they did kind of falter a lot in the first quarter against the Browns. But I don't know if the Jags will be able to put up that much. Okay, I'm gonna go for the Ravens. Yep, yeah, call myself in.
I'm gonna go for the Jags.
Ooh, our first different pick this week. Oh my
Yeah.
god. There we go. Okay. Any reason you're picking the Jags? Or you just don't like the Ravens, or you think they're in
Um,
time for a win? They're
I
two and
think
zero right now.
there's going to be pressure on the Jags, and there's a lot of talent in that roster, and I like to think that they find a way to win,
You're
and they are
starting off
playing at
3-0.
home.
That would be a big call for Gus Bradley as well. Yeah. Not having the greatest thing. Right. Moving on, we have um, an AFC North match, NFC North matchup. Sorry, the Lions traveling to the Packers. I've got the Packers in this one. Um, yeah, they're going to bounce back with a victory, and the Lions showed with their number of penalties they had last season.
I'm
Not
gonna
season,
take
last
I'm
game. I'm going to
gonna
take the
go
Packers.
against you and take the Lions.
You're taking the Lions against the Packers at Lambeau.
Well, the Packers look so terrible at the moment, and I think the Lions are going
So
to
do the
take advantage.
Lions. The Lions look terrible.
Yeah, but when the Packers look terrible, they
There was
capitulate
time.
and they have no
There was time.
confidence.
There was time I was watching the game and I messaged you and it was like the Lions are on first and goal, and against the Titans and they had three penalties. They went all the so it was like it was on the one and it went back to the 31 and I was like it was still first and goal. They hadn't. It was still the first down. They just made like holding call, and I think it was like offensive pass interference, and it was just like, okay, that's what's happening.
I think there were some questionable decisions made by the referees.
It was on two of the plays. They threw a touchdown as well. So
Oh,
anyway, moving on. The Broncos at the Bengals. This is a really interesting game. I'm excited for this one. I think I'll have to pick the. I don't know because the Broncos have been playing so well, and the Bengals just. I no, I think Cincinnati come away with a win here. Yeah.
I'm agreeing with you as well.
Oh my god.
I'm a big fan of the Cincinnati roster, and they weren't that bad against the Steelers. It was just a tight game in difficult conditions, and I don't think the Broncos can keep relying on. Well, we said that all of last season, but I really don't think the Broncos can.
Keep
This
it.
luck is going to run out at some point.
And I think with a team like the Bengals, with their passing attack they've got, it's a good one, and their run attack is good, and also their defense should hopefully can stop the Broncos' offense. But we're gonna have to see. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they come away with this. Right, the next one is the Minnesota Vikings, minus Teddy Bridgewater and minus Adrian Peterson. Go to Carolina, play my Panthers. I'm just picking a Carolina Panthers win here.
Yeah, same.
Yeah, I mean, I think they don't have their starting quarterback, don't have their starting stud running back, and we have basically all of our players healthy right now. I think that was the final morning kickoff. Moving on to the afternoon game, the LA Rams, fresh off a win, traveled to Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay didn't put up any points last week, and they put up 7, and the Rams put up 9. So you're expecting a low score in this one?
I'm expecting a 0-0 draw.
0-0 draw. A draw in the American sports. That would be hilarious.
I don't. I really. This is a tight game. I'm gonna flick it over to the Bucks because I trust the Bucks more. They have more players, more talent on that team, and the Rams are so unreliable. And until they can repeat what they do on a regular basis, I will go for the Rams. But
I feel I'm gonna have to agree with you there. And that win will move the Bucks to 2-1. In the right there. And then 49ers at the Seahawks. The Seahawks really have to come back with a win after last week. And they need to start pressing because they're 1-1. The 49ers are also 1-1, so we'll see how they do. But I think the Seahawks will pick up the win here. Even though Chip Kelly's offense does score a lot of points, I think the Seahawks, with a home health at top. Actually, no. I want to go for 49ers.
oh, I just wrote down
No, no.
Seahawks. I'm gonna have to cross
No,
that
no,
out
no, no,
now.
no, 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 no. I'm going for the Seahawks. Yeah, I'm going for the Seahawks. Yeah. Did you cross that out?
Yeah, I crossed it out now. I'm writing it over it.
I was about to say like even in the first week when they had it, but then they almost lost to the Dolphins, which is why I was like actually no, the 49ers will put up more points.
Yeah.
I don't really know what my pick is right now.
Well, you can always change it.
Yeah, okay. I'm gonna go for the Seahawks though. Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna go for the Seahawks as well.
as well. Okay. Oh wow, we've picked like two teams differently. Wait, is the one game we have different the Baltimore and Jags game?
No, we picked differently on Jags,
The Lions
Ravens,
and the
Lions,
Lions
Packers.
Packers, and that's it.
Yeah.
And that's it. Wow. Okay. Right. Jets at Chiefs. Defensive matchup here. Just because it's in
Chiefs.
Kansas City makes me want to give them the win,
Makes you want to give it to them as well.
but I just don't. I'm not sure. I'm not. Yeah, I'll pick Kansas City. This could be one which pushes down into later on in the playoffs if the Jets are trying to get back in there.
You know what's cool? I'm going to take the Jets in this game just so we have a bit of difference.
All right. Okay. I think we got 4 games left. So we go Chargers at Colts. Colts haven't really sorted out what they're doing right now. Even though they're my pick for the division, I might have to put them down for another loss because the Chargers have been playing very well, putting up a lot of points.
I disagree with you. I think
Okay.
the Colts, they need to win a game and
They definitely need to win a game, yeah.
they'll do it against the Chargers.
Against the Chargers. It would be the Chargers. Philly Riv, come on, don't let me down, bro. Right, Steelers at Eagles, blowout win for the Steelers. Even though
I'm
Carson
actually
Wentz... You're picking
Okay.
Carson Wentz over Big Ben? No way.
Imagine how I'll look if I get this game right.
Yeah, I don't think you will. I think there's going to be loads of points on for the Steelers. I
Yeah.
don't know. Ooh, all right. Okay, interesting. Bears at Cowboys, backup versus backup. But unfortunately for the Bears, the Cowboys' backup is better than the Bears. So I'm going to have to pick the Cowboys in this game. It's the Sunday night game, but I've got that.
I'm going with you on this, Cowboys.
Mhm. All right, last game, Monday night game is NFC South matchup between the Falcons and the Saints. 1-1 Falcons going up to 2-0. Oh, sorry, 0-2 Saints. I'm gonna have to go with the Saints this time. They should be putting up points, and hopefully they do, and they beat out the Falcons. I would love that if they did it, but I'm going for
I'm
that.
going Falcons.
Okay, Falcons. There we go. A little bit of difference there. I think that's what we got on. So for my predictions, there should only be there's only 4 unbeaten teams left, and those are the Steelers, the Ravens, the Texans, and the Giants.
Ooh.
I think. I doubt there's gonna be any team going like super far down, being unbeaten. But it could be something the Steelers do. Maybe the Giants keep up with it. But
No, I think the
so.
Giants will come up against a non-divisional good team and then lose.
They could. They might do. To be fair, it is the Giants though. I think that is it for this week, guys. Unless there's anything else you want to talk about, Will?
No.
No. So obviously lock in those picks for next week. Apart from maybe my San Francisco Seattle Seahawks game, not really too sure. I'll give you a message beforehand anyway. But yeah, look, that's I think all the other picks, lock them in. Matt Stafford will. Sorry, it's not going to happen. Aaron Rodgers is going to come back with it, and I'm looking forward to this weekend's game. I mean, I'm excited to see the Vikings, how they're going to play without Adrian Peterson, and that Broncos Bengals game is definitely one I'm looking forward to. And it's just a question of how many points the Cardinals are going to put up against the Bills. But
Yeah, definitely.
I think we're going to have to wait and see. Right, okay. Until next week, guys. See ya.
Bye.